How much should you guys be paying for an influencer? I want to make sure that your expectations are set right, because a lot of people are like, oh, let me only pay $10, $20, $30. You can do that and that's possible, but it depends on a lot of different variables. And it's not a bad thing if an influencer is asking for $100, $200, $1,000. What you're really going to end up doing is going to be based off, well, first of all, your budget, because obviously you can't pay $500 if you don't have a budget for that, but mostly the niche of the influencer and the product you're running, as well as a couple different variables on the time end of things, like how long you're running that shout out for. So the first thing to know is an influencer, it's never an exact amount. So for example, you could be inside of, let's just throw a dog niche, right? Whatever, you're doing shout outs in the dog niche. Not every dog page is the same price just because they're in the same niche. So there's never an exact amount, just know that going in. There's a template you can follow and you're like, okay, once you start running more and more shout outs, you're gonna get a feel for it. You're gonna be like, okay, a page with a couple 100,000, you're like 300,000 to 500,000 with what I would consider good engagement, you know, a healthy ratio of likes to their followers and comments to their likes, you know, usually goes for like 60 to $100. You're gonna understand the range once you start doing it, and that only comes with experience. But first, you need to understand why the influencers are gonna price their page the way they are. So there's two different types of pages that you can run shoutouts on. There's an influencer page. This is where it's like content based, like a meme page, a dog page, something like that, where it's just random content in a niche. Whereas a personal brand, that's where it's like someone's face. It's like them. So it's one person, that's the focal point. A personal brand is gonna cost you more money. And let me tell you why. It's because there's a relationship built. People can follow a meme page, you know, they laugh, they enjoy the content, that's great. But when someone sees someone's face every single day, first of all, and they hear their voice, they get attached to that person. So there's a relationship built. And what that means for you is that there's trust. There's a level of trust. So if they're promoting something to their audience, naturally that audience is going to trust whatever they're promoting a lot more than they will on, let's say, a meme page or a dog page, okay? So those are the two types of pages you can run it on. You just have to know the difference, which is very easy to see. You know, if it's one person, if they put their name on there, then it's a personal brand, okay? So usually that's going to cost you a little bit more, and it can bring you a lot better results just because of that trust factor. Now, testing range. This really comes down to your budget. I personally don't feel the need to spend more than like a couple $100. You know, I'll throw out the number $200. $200 roughly for kind of the cap at what I'll do a shout out at. Now that's not saying I won't spend more, but I'm not going to spend more right off the bat. So if I'm doing, let's say, a meme page that has 1 million followers, they're charging me $150. I could do that, but I'm not going to go do the 10 million, 15 million follower meme pages that are going to cost me $1,000. And I'm not going to do those. I will eventually if it keeps working, but I'm not going to do those until the smaller pages in that niche work. Okay, so I just really want to put this out because a lot of people are expecting to only have to pay, oh, $5, $10 for a test. That's possible for a small page in a certain niche if you're really good at negotiating. Yeah, that can happen. But you need to be willing to spend some money on influencers. You don't have to spend a lot, you know, $30, $50, $100. Just make sure you find the best couple of pages that you possibly can inside of your niche and then start negotiating. See which one works the best, but do not scale to a bigger page until the smaller ones are working. So I just want to do this to set your expectations right so that you don't get let down, and so you know what you're going to be paying. Because if influencers are responding saying $250, $300, and you're like, whoa, that's way too much. You know, I heard someone say only 30. You could be declining pages that you managed to get in contact with and get a price from that could actually make you money. So it's really not that difficult if you combine all the different things and it's congruent. Good offer on a good page, they offer for a decent price. Even if you spend $200, very realistic that you make $500 to $1,000 back. You just have to test, and really, it's a calculated risk. Everything you do is a calculated risk. So, but obviously do your research on the page. We've already been talking about that a lot inside of this Instagram module. So keep up with that. Just understand the expectations and what's probably going to happen. And I'm going to see you over in the next video.